welcome to AutoSave. I'm Nick Andrade with my co-host Camille Salazar-Hadaway, and in this episode, we continue through the story of God of War PS4. And on last week's episode...
Mimir, you there?
Yes.
Good.
Oh. Hello, Freya. Been a long time. You look well.
What I did for them. As far as I'm concerned, death suits you better.
I'd bow if I could, Your Majesty. Forgive me. Had I known the witch in the woods was Freya herself, I never would have suggested this.
Freya? The goddess Freya?
You didn't know either?
So we scaled the mountain, fought a dragon, found out we're not at the highest peak in Midgard to spread Faye's ashes, which they seem really distraught about that. So clearly they need to be at the highest peak. Faye left them with some pretty interesting instructions. But we meet Mimir, who is my new favorite character in this game, who was stuck in a tree. He's been tortured by Odin every day for the last 100 and some odd years. And he feels for us. So he's like, hey, I'll help you out because I'd rather not be tortured, which obviously. Yeah. But guess what, Cam? He says, chop my head off and reanimate me.
I mean, if he's used to torture, I mean, getting his head chopped off.
Nothing.
Maybe not a big thing.
Yeah.
The grossest thing would having the bugs come out of his mouth when he's being reanimated. That's gross.
Yes, you did not like that. No. But more importantly than the bugs, this is the point where we find out that the witch is actually a god named Freya, who used to be the leader of the Vanir and was married to Odin at one point. So a lot to unpack here, especially the way Kratos has been lying to Atreus. Freya has been lying to them as well. She's a witch. Let's burn her.
We're on a witch hunt.
Yes, we are.
Let's burn her. I love that. But I don't trust her. Again, do not trust her at all.
I'm in the realm of trusting her at this point, and because I was like you, once a fool once, where I there was something skeptical, but now I kind of think, you know what? I think she has our best interests because she probably hates Odin's guts, right?
Well, usually the gods of all gods in any mythology aren't the greatest to their wives. So maybe I understand her a little bit more, why she's like bitter and maybe why she would side with us.
If you based your entire like Greek mythology, like information or history, well, it's not really history. We don't know what it is. But if you base it entirely on the God of War series, you basically think that all gods are scummy, right? You would be Kratos in this example.
I guess, yeah, based on God of War. Greek god Zeus wasn't that great either to his wives. He was horrible.
My main like area of expertise from Greek mythology is from like Hercules, like what I know about Hercules, which paints a picture of these gods being great and good. And, you know, Zeus is good to Hercules and stuff like that. But
this isn't any PG mythology, Nick.
It's not.
This is the real world. We're in PG-18. Is it PG? This is rated M for mature, okay?
There's no parental guidance 18 plus. That makes no sense.
I know. It's like, hey.
But at the end of the episode, too, we traveled to the World Serpent, who is also one of my new favorite characters as well. Not as much as Mimir, but he talks to the World Serpent, who, again, wants to help us out. Everyone just wants to help us out because they are sad of the death of Faye, basically, and what we're going through. So he decides to push the bridge towards Helheim, and that ends up draining more of the water in the lake, which unlocks a lot of things. And that's where we are now, where we have to find a magic chisel. I'm not really sure what that means, but that is this episode, chapters 7 and 8, titled The Magic Chisel and Behind the Lock.
I have a quick question. The World Serpent could have been draining this area just completely. I mean, the first time we needed help, could have just done it. Why is the World Serpent so protective over this body of water? I don't trust him.
You don't trust him.
That's my new thing. I don't trust him.
Because apparently the way when he moves, that's the reason why the water is just
Yes.
flushed away. So I think he did it by accident. But I think you need to open up more. Do you trust Mimir? If you don't trust those two?
I do. Mimir is fun. I trust fun people.
That leads me into the question of the day is, do you like Mimir as a talking head that is attached to your belt at all times? Because I got to say, since he's joined our party, it's been a lot more entertaining.
Yes, of course. I mean, Mimir just has jokes for days. He's kind of like, Atreus wants to try to talk back to Kratos. Mimir just says it. Mimir is the comic relief that we've been wanting throughout our journey, and you always need that, throughout any long journey to a top of a mountain. So I've been really enjoying having Mimir because it's pushing Kratos' buttons because he has zero patience and zero sense of humor.
He is also, though, polite. Like, I noticed, like, if you're in your boat, he starts to tell stories, which I really like as well. He's like, here's a story about a giant or a god or whatever, which I'm probably sure they put that in there because we're going to have to learn about these guys later. But I like his company, and I do notice that he is a little polite. When we push our boat onto to land, he usually says, if he's talking in a story, he's like, but I'll leave that for another time. And then he gets us to our business. So, he's just a good guy all around.
Yeah, he's polite. Or maybe he just doesn't want to get his head chopped in half by Kratos. I mean, let's talk about the trauma Mimir's been through, okay?
Yes.
Being literally beheaded and reanimated.
Yeah, but that was his idea. His body was in a tree, so he can't move.
He could still suffer trauma from that, so maybe he's just really scared of Kratos, which is why he's polite. And I mean, Kratos is the god of war, so who isn't scared of him?
I would be scared of him if I saw him just by his voice alone, let alone his body. But we're going to go through the Magic Chisel Chapter 7 up next on AutoSave after the break. Welcome back to AutoSave, and Cam, we now have to follow Mimir's instructions to find the magic chisel, which is, what is exactly, is it a chisel for artwork? Is that exactly what it is? Because I'm kind of confused at what the magic chisel is. Do you know what it is?
I have no idea, but like you said, chisel, usually you use a chisel to sculpt. So maybe it is an artist chisel. Or maybe I don't know. What functionality does this chisel have? I have no clue.
Mimir does say that we need to find the magic chisel so that we can carve out a travel rune to go to Jotunheim. So carving out a travel rune makes me think that we have to carve out something literally out of stone with this magic chisel.
Yeah, chisel a rune in a rock.
Yes, but a rock, sorry. But these quests are getting weird.
What were you thinking?
Like wood.
Oh, maybe wood. Maybe
no,
wood.
It's probably stone. You're 100% right. It's going to be stone. Stone or ice or something like that. In the meantime, of course, we talked about the world serpent and how he lowered the sea levels or the water levels of the lake. You have a chance to do side quests. And I just want to quickly ask you, did you go do any side quests before you went to do the Magic Chisel main story quest, or did you just go straight into it?
Okay, we gotta talk.
Okay.
Remember at the start of our journey with God of War, I was like, I played through this. I am gonna go in and try to 100% complete this by getting all the boxes.
Yes. Instinct
kicked in and I just fell into the same routine where no, I did not do the side quest. I'm not doing anything extra. And it's not that I don't want to. I am just so fascinated with the story again. And this is something that maybe you have to help me with because you're really good at this, but I need to be coached on no, we're going here first and here first before we do the main mission.
There's something inside my brain where while I'm doing these, I need to do these side quests. Like when I see them flagged, or especially now with Brock and Sentry, every time we see them, they're like, oh, did you deal with Fafnir? Oh, did you get me the whetstone or something like that?
Yeah, and you're like, wait, What? I need to do that. You know, like, okay, when maybe you're at a grocery store and you see friends from high school, elementary school, you don't really talk to them. But like maybe you see them every once in a while. And like, hey, my birthday was the other day, or my birthday's coming up. You're going to be there? We'll see. That's my answer to Brock and Sindri. We'll see.
Well, I mean, if you haven't seen them in a long while and you got invited to their birthday.
Well, you know, like it's
pretty
a close community. It's a close community I live in. Everyone who went to elementary school pretty much still lives in my area. So it's like an invite by association because they still hang out with some people I hang out. But I don't really talk to them.
I would say the ultimate invite is like, why don't we go up some coffee sometime? Or let's get a beer sometime. It never happens, though. It never happens.
But are you the person to be like, yeah, let's do it? Or are you honest and say, oh, we'll see?
It depends on who it is, but I'll be the one inviting if I actually do want to hang out with this person.
Okay,
right?
that's good.
But whenever someone tells me that they want to go for coffee, they normally 9 times out of 10 balk on doing it. So
yeah, it's like the new, how are you doing? When someone asks how you doing, they usually don't care to hear the answer. They just feel like they have to fill the air. And now it's like, oh, we should go out for a coffee is like that other thing people say now.
Okay, the side quests. I started doing a lot of them while I had the chance. Like I saw all these blue flags, I went over them, whatever. Then there was a point where I felt like, why am I doing all of these if I don't have fast travel? So the fast travel right now, it only unlocked one place, which is the bridge where Brock is. Everything else is locked. And so like I Googled it. I'm like, when do I get this fast travel? Because I'm now going from place to place on my boat. That's taking more time when I can just fast travel to them. Why don't I do that? Which though, however, in order to get those fast travel markers, you have to go to those places. So I have those now unlocked, ready to go.
I'm very proud of you. I do not.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's going to hurt me probably later, but I do not. One thing I will say about this area, like when you unlock the area, I just love that it's called the Shores of Nine.
Yes.
How old timey is that? That's one of the things I love about like mythological series. It's like the Shores of Nine. Have you been to the Shores of Nine? That's all. That's all I want to say about that.
Everything that is named here is pretty good. Like I want to go everywhere just to find out what these things are called, and especially like the World Tree and all those different realms. Like I want to go to Helheim, which I think we'll be going to soon. But that sounds like badass. Like a lot of these
badass as the Shores of Nine.
Well, speaking of the Shores of Nine, we do have to find our way through the Mason Channel, that sounds more like a 1900s reference, the Mason Channel. But we have to go through some giant oars. We see some oarsmen on boats, which is really cool, maybe it was made out of the giant chisel. Not the giant chisel, the magic chisel.
The magic chisel.
Yeah, I'm just making up words. But once we go through with our boat, we do see that there's a drawbridge there. We have to lower it. That enacts us seeing an ogre. We got to fight another damn ogre. And Mimir tells us the story of Thamur, the frost giant. Basically, Thamur, he wandered at night looking for his son in Midgar, who had done something. I'm not entirely sure what he did, but it was bad. And he wanted to go find him. But guess what? He stumbled upon the wrong person to see, and it was Thor. And guess what? Thor, who we're now finding out a lot of stories about this guy, who is basically an asshole. Him and Odin are terrorizing the people of Midgar. And he killed Thamur. And as we take our boat closer to this area that we need to go to, we see a giant frost giant, Thamur, who is dead and has like something through his head, and it's just a beautiful sight though. Like when I passed through this area, I was like, wow, the scenics here are just incredible.
Yeah, the scenic of a dead frost giant, gorgeous. No, but they are a terror. Like it's starting to make me understand more why all these people are siding with Kratos, because yes, I understand his wife had some sort of notoriety here, but at the same time, would that be enough for you to go against the god of gods, the king of gods?
Oh, well, they've been through it. I mean, I don't think Kratos gives an F at this point.
No, I know for Kratos, right? But everyone helping him, the world serpent,
Everyone
Mimir,
else. Yeah.
Brock and Sindri, right? Like, if you know Odin and Thor are horrible, like, to me, because they've been terrorized so much as people in this space, I think it's just that they're like, we've had enough of it. We need someone to, like, kill Odin and kill Thor because we've had enough. So I'm now starting to look forward to that showdown.
Do they really think, though, that Kratos can kill or even do anything to Thor and Odin?
But they all know who Kratos is. They all know who Kratos is and what he's done. There must be some hope in that story. If I was in Midgard and I heard of a god that killed all the gods on Mount Olympus, I'd be like, maybe we should hire him for the ultimate job.
You'd be like, hey, Kratos, can you come to my birthday party? Is what you're saying, basically.
Yeah. Hey, Kratos, can you come out to my birthday party? Or I'd be like, Kratos, I'll pick you up to my birthday party and I'll drop you off. But instead, I'll just drop him at the front of Odin and Thor's house and then just let them battle it out.
Well, that would make our game so much easier if you just did that. So
we'd fast travel there. But yeah, I do like, even like, yes, it's a lovely sight to see, but even to see that on the map, like when you actually go to your map and you see Thamur, like just like arched over. I like how they include that as well.
Well, Thamur, we basically have to get through here now in this new area. His like rings, he has rings on his beard and his fingers, and they have charges there that we can shoot with our static arrows to kind of blow things up and blow ice up. There's some puzzles to do around as well. We have to fight off an ice agent at some point. And as we approach closer to Thamur, we do see under the ice is the area we have to go. It's like a red glowing area where the magic chisel is. But how are we going to get underneath the ice? We have to find out a way to get there. But guess who we hear in the distance? It's Sindri. Again, another dwarf is always somewhere that we need to be. And I've been asking about this and how we see them all the time. Well, guess what, Cam? We finally get an answer.
Wow, that was something, that fight. Here, catch. Well, that was a waste of a perfectly good
How
apple.
were you not seen? There is nowhere here to hide.
Oh, that. It's a little trick my people can pull. A special way of not being seen.
You can be invisible?
More like I can step into the realm between realms. And your mind doesn't understand what it's seeing, so it sees nothing at all. That's how we avoid ever having to actually use the weapons we craft. It doesn't seem to work on dragons, though.
Your brother wanted to know if you're getting enough to eat. I guess I could tell him you are.
Brock was asking about me? Was there meat on his breath? You let him touch this again.
We finally find out exactly how Sindri and Brock are traveling around. They go between the realms. And in order for that to happen, like nobody sees
we can't comprehend
movements.
it. Or
Yes.
we they don't say our minds don't comprehend it, so we don't see it. But I'm still pissed off they didn't offer us to use that technology because it has nothing to do with the fact that they're small.
No, it doesn't.
Yes. So they could have been like, hey, Kratos, hey, Atreus, you want to use this tech? Not liking it.
Yeah, it's also even more useful because gods can't even see it because Kratos is a god and he can't see them. So they can clearly travel and hide away from the gods if need be, which is just really powerful magic.
It's really powerful magic and probably would have made this trek a lot easier if they really wanted to help Kratos and Atreus. But whatever.
Listen,
Whatever.
we have to get a piece of chisel down a frozen lake with a dead giant around us. Nothing here is easy. I like this whole Brock and Sindri thing. It's like, we don't know if they exactly hate each other, but I think they do love each other.
They love each other, but they don't like the smell of each other. I just love how he smells. Oh, you let him touch it.
Yeah.
You let him touch it. They remind me of like my sister and I when we would bicker when we were younger.
Is that how it went?
Yeah.
the
It's like,
youngest
oh,
child,
did you touch my shampoo? No. Obviously use the shampoo.
Do you like the fact that every time they see the Leviathan axe, they're just like, you let him touch it? Here, let me fix it for you. And they basically just fix it after each other all the time.
Yeah, they're just really not helping themselves because they know that the other's going to, again, touch it and try to fix it. But really, it's just helping Kratos in the long run.
Well, Sindri gives us a chance to gear up and ship out, so you can upgrade all your gear if you want. I would suggest so. Use your money, unlike Cam. She doesn't like using her money in this game that much. You probably just die instantly because you have level 2 armor still. Like I said before, we can use Thamur's rings and beard hair rings or whatever the heck to find our way through the ice. We fight some new enemies that I haven't seen before, the Travelers. They have these giant swords, and they're probably one of the most difficult enemies in the game so far, but I enjoy fighting them because it's new combat almost.
Yeah, they also have lots of armor, and how they fight, you really have to wait for them to kind of open up to where they're vulnerable. So like when they're about to jump
Yes.
and attack you, that's a really good spot.
This hammer that's where Thamur is it Mjolnir or is it something else? I'm not entirely sure what it is.
It kind of does, but why would it be just frozen there? Because from what I know of it, it's like a hammer for Thor.
Yeah, so that's why I thought maybe you would know the answer, but you
Nope.
don't know the answer. And neither do I. But the hammer is something that we need in this potential plan that Kratos actually has.
Why are we going up when what we need is all the way down there?
Think.
Well, the chisel tip is under thick layers of ice, so melting it won't work.
Correct.
And there weren't any shattered crystals nearby for me to shoot, so that's not an option.
Correct.
That just leaves smashing the ice. We need something ridiculously heavy to... Oh, I get it now.
Good.
All right, so what do you think about this plan? They basically are going to scale the length of Thamur and this ice mountain in order to let loose of this hammer and make it crash into the ice and smash the area that they need to go to. Is that a good parenting idea or a bad parenting idea? Because you're going to do this with your son? It seems pretty crazy.
I mean, he's already in death's grip, being in Midgar, and all the gods are trying to kill him. So, I mean, I think it has nothing to do with parenting. I think it's just one of the most badass things that I'm looking forward to Kratos doing. Like, this is so Kratos to be like, I'm just gonna break the ice. Because I could totally see him doing it. He will succeed. So it's a good idea.
I just think it's pretty cocky to think like your plan is to climb an ice mountain thing.
Yep.
And then slide down while it's crashing down and manage to get through while you have your like 9-year-old son.
I mean, if Atreus doesn't survive, rip.
I know that you don't like Atreus that much. He's this bratty kid.
It's not that I don't like him, but he's kind of bratty. Kind of bratty.
All right, well, you be the judge and let us know if you think the plan actually worked.
This plan seems ill-advised.
Jump!
That didn't work. It only fell a little ways.
Huh.
Kratos, what happened, man? I was believing in you. No, I honestly thought, I was like, that sounds like a Kratos thing to do. Let's do it. Nope.
It was almost like anticlimactic because I was like, okay, here we go, this crazy cutscene where they just slide down the entire length of the hammer, and it only tipped a little bit.
Yeah. I feel Kratos was holding back because of Atreus, so I feel like we should just blame Atreus for this one.
Well, I'm not going to give him a bad kid there because he's just trying to follow
That's
his
true.
dad's
That's
orders. But where we end up landing is a door that we enter, and it looks like there's a broken lift with a puzzle that we have to solve with the seasons. Now, did you get this puzzle right away? Did you understand all the instructions?
No, I did not.
How long did it take you to do?
I've completely forgot how to do this. And Nick, I pulled a U. I looked it up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I looked it up. I pulled a Nick Andrade.
You're really rubbing it to me that you're trying to scapegoat me. Did not feel so bad about looking it up.
No. Honestly, sometimes you got to look it up. I had to look this one up. I completely forgot how to do this one.
So I figured it out by process of elimination because, so it's the clues here. The clues that Atreus says about the season. So there's these 4 panels that they have spring, summer, winter, fall symbols that you have to line up in order. He does say something about retrograde. So I thought, okay, maybe it's opposite. I did go left to right with winter, spring, summer, fall. That didn't work. So I was kind of confused. And then I tried to do it the other way where I tried to do from left to right, spring, summer, fall, winter, like a normal person in the seasons. That didn't work either. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's opposite, which is winter on the right side. And that's how I figured it out because not every panel had every season.
Yes.
Which I was confused for too. I was like spinning my axe, like, okay, where's fall? And then there's no fall.
Yeah, for some reason, I think because I had to like spin it over and over again. And then like, I was like, wait, was fall here or no? And then I do it again. I was like, oh my God, this is so annoying. I'm just going to look it up. And that's what I did. And it worked.
Well, once you figure it out or look it up like Cam did, the lift comes to life with some magic.
Yes.
And we find out how.
Well done, lad.
Write it again.
Thor. We're rising! The energy's lifting the platform!
Keep writing.
Thor. Thor. Thor.
Head, how is this possible?
My guess? Temporal magic. Dangerous stuff the High Vanir gods used to play around with. The ability to freeze time. Happened to be a favourite of Njord himself, in fact.
Used to. Why did they stop?
Well, turns out stopping time keeps the sun and moon from streaking across the sky. Unfortunately, it does not stop the wolves that chase them, always looking to sink their teeth in. After that, they decided it was best to leave time alone.
I can't get to the boat!
So, Thola, which is what I was going to name the episode until I found out something else that was a little bit better. But we have to scale this whole thing as it's almost collapsing. There are enemies that like keep spawning and you have to kill them or else the temporal magic almost disappears. It's a really cool exercise, which I think is a little different than a lot of the other fights that we've had so far.
It is. But you still have to deal with the hordes of enemies, which we've kind of seen before as well. And like some of the waves of enemies, I am a sucker for that. Like I just love just getting ambushed by enemies in this sense. Like usually I don't like enemies charging at me, but it's pretty controllable and manageable fights.
This one too, it's a long fight.
It is.
And it keeps happening. So there was a point as well where I did this once. And then right when you scale to the top, you have to destroy those markers with your static arrows in order to blow up the ice. And I didn't know that right away because I couldn't see the markers. So I died. And I had to ride the whole elevator goddamn thing again and fight all the enemies again.
Yeah, you start back from the beginning there. They don't give you a little bit of space to catch up. But yeah, no. So you died once during this.
Yes. You died 0 times.
Well, let's not. Yeah. But no, it was the exploding nightmares were probably the most frustrating ones.
Oh, I hate them. I hate them so much.
They're so annoying.
And there's the sounds they make too.
Yeah.
Thanks for entertaining the sound.
No problem. Anytime.
But once we get to the top, after I died and then figured it out again, we try to break the ice again.
How do we get down?
We jump.
Really?
Come. Do not panic.
Why would I panic?
I have you.
You're cracked, you know that?
Well. Good. We should keep moving.
All right, Cam. Well, this time
Really? Really?
it works.
I love that. I really did enjoy Atreus' reaction. Really? My thing with this, like, although I nag on Atreus, I did like this, how they did the cutscenes. Well, yeah, you see Kratos, like, he's like, I got you. And like he grabs Atreus, and like even when he's falling, he pulls him in the middle, like into himself. So like he takes the brunt of the debris falling and the fall itself. That's why I wasn't concerned with Atreus. I know like Kratos would protect him. So that's why it's not a bad parenting. Good parenting for protecting your younger one during a fall that you decided to do.
All right, you know what? I agree. I'll give him, well, he already has a bad parenting point, I think, for deciding to do this, but he does protect Atreus, which I think he'll get a good parenting point as well, which almost negates the point. I don't know. But he's a god, so he can do whatever the hell he wants. So we get to the area where the magic chisel is. We see it in the distance, and all we have to do is climb over there and look for it. Only problem is we hear some voices, and it sounds like it's Thor's dumb sons, Magni and Modi. So we probably have to avoid them, which we try to, and we actually have to fight a bunch of enemies, including in the dining hall, break some ice, get through, solve some puzzles as well. But unfortunately, we end up stumbling upon them anyway.
Boy.
Surrender. The All-Father demands it.
No.
Good.
This fight is mine, boy. Go.
And where do you think you're going? Oh no, brother. The little freak's got a bow. What are we gonna do?
Boss fight time.
They are the worst.
Are they? I like them.
They're but I mean like they are like so like a stereotypical like duo in any like video game or movie. That's how they talk. Where do you think you're going? You know, and like they move in. They're horrible. Yeah. This is just like tainting my idea of like Norse gods from the MCU. Norse gods, apparently, according to God of War, horrible.
They also seem like meatheads.
Yeah.
Again, we're told that they're not very smart, that they're a formidable duo when they're together, but when separate, they are pretty dumb.
Magni is the blonde son,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's the one that like that first attacks you. So like you're paired off with him, and then the other like goes to Atreus, but like you could fight either of them at the same time. And Magni is so much larger than Amadi.
Yeah.
And like I really liked how they use lightning. Like there's this point where it's like it gets really foggy in the fight, and like you and Atreus are like in the middle, and you don't know where the two of them will come out from. I thought that was really, really cool.
I think they say something too. It's almost like powers unite, and then they do that move. and then you go into the darkness. It is tough though, because they try to trick you out as well, where you see the arrow, the red arrow of where they're coming from, and one of them starts to come but then stops, and then the arrow comes from another spot, and then the other brother comes and runs in. So you always have to be like on a swivel to kind of rotate in order to put your shield out. Like, it's a really cool fight sequence.
It is very cool and like, yeah, cool mechanic on how to maneuver, but that actually shows they're not actually that dumb. They know how to trick their enemy and their opponent.
Yes.
And they could take a lot of damage. That was the other thing. They could take a lot of damage. So for me, this was a long fight.
Yeah, I was dodging quite a bit. I didn't take too much damage from them. So my health bar stayed pretty relatively good the entire time. I didn't find this fight, it wasn't hard. It was fun, but it wasn't hard.
You didn't find it a little, like, not a little long as in it was too long, but it was a long fight.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with the two of them. Atreus is pretty useless, let's face it. And I was panicking because I didn't want him to get hurt.
It doesn't matter if he gets hurt.
I don't know. It doesn't. It doesn't.
There's one point, though, and I don't know if he would have died, but Modi grabs him in...
Oh, yeah.
Like... And then it like has his bar as like an red exclamation mark. So I'm like, oh crap. And then like I attacked him and he dropped Atreus, but I wasn't sure if that led to like him killing him because I'd never seen Atreus get killed.
I was ready to trust it because that comes up like halfway through the battle. I'm like, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, it is true though. Like the health bars, they go like they have a lot of vitality because they go down very slow. And then once you get, close down with one, then you have to go bring down the other. And it's not a sense of like, okay, we got them halfway. This is the end of the fight. Like you have to get them all the way down. So it does take time, but I had a lot of fun with it. Well, once the brothers are defeated.
I'll kill you!
Atreus! Control yourself!
How did you... You have no idea. You son of a bitch!
Get these guys! I'll rip your head off!
The sickness. Fever has returned.
No! It hasn't.
Roy!
The coughing, the blood. The boy's sick, he needs Freya.
No!
Steady.
I'll be alright.
There you go, lad.
I'm fine, see?
Okay, so a lot to unpack here. One, I did not think at all that Magni or Modi at all would be killed, and Magni ends up getting killed by Kratos. Did you see a death coming? Because I sure didn't.
I guess not. Well, okay, this is the thing. I guess because they're so tied to Thor and like Odin, and we know those are like the big baddie, I didn't think we would see a death this soon. But then I just know based on Greek mythology, the gods have lots of kids. So I wasn't necessarily like surprised because I'm like, I mean, if he were to lose two, I don't know how many kids Thor has, but I'm like, if he was to lose two, I'm pretty sure there's like 15 others that could come and torment us. But I was surprised at how graphic it was, slit right in the middle of the face.
Oh, I know.
And I thought Modi would be the one that would have died.
Yeah, because you think, Magni's like the stronger one. So you would think, I agree with that too. With Kratos too, like I don't know, I didn't see like normally in any type of game, when we first see some sort of like main character villains, it's the first time we fight them, it's never a time where they die, which makes me think that there's going to be a lot more boss fights at this stage in the game. At least that's what I'm thinking, because how are you going to kill Magni right off the bat the first time we interact with them? There's got to be more in store with, my guess is, Modi and Modi's character, if that's the case.
Yes, maybe, but also maybe not. Like maybe he's just that messenger. Like maybe Odin and Thor would just kill off Modi because he couldn't kill Kratos. You never know with gods. They're crazy. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it won't be the last time that we see him. And now that it's kind of like that loose end. So I think we're probably going to have more Wrath of the Gods because we killed Magni.
He also like runs off crying. He's like,
But he was in shock as well. He's like, how did you? Like, so I'm guessing like no one's come close to killing Magni before.
that's also a great point that it just made me think is Atreus is also, he's like, how did you kill a god? Because he still thinks, he doesn't realize that Kratos is a god.
Yes.
And he was so bewildered by that.
Which I keep forgetting.
Yes.
Because that would be a huge moment if you saw your father you don't know is a god kill a god. Like that's what you bring in, like the beheaded victim in show and tell at your Midgar school to be like, my dad killed a god one time. This is the head.
And Atreus is thinking at this point, he's like, wow, my dad is amazing. Well, I mean, if he saw his Spartan rage, then maybe he'd start questioning it, Atreus. So maybe he should be a little smarter. But he is sick. He coughs up blood. Mimir says, let's take him to Freya, but he shrugs it off. And to me, this is a point where he's now trying to think like his dad, and he's trying to make his dad proud, where it's like, no, I'm strong. I'm a man. I can take care of myself. We don't need any help.
I think also, like, it's not necessarily he's trying to think like his dad or be strong. I think, like, from what we know of the sickness, what was mentioned before, it is seen as a burden to him because he can't, well, yeah, I guess because he can't make those steps into adulthood. But remember, this is a kid that killed a lot of elves. Like, murked
Yeah, so we don't know how.
a crap ton of elves. So I think it's also maybe who he's becoming. Like, I don't think he's necessarily trying to be strong. I think he is showing that, like, he's really dedicated to this mission. And he may be more like Kratos than he thinks.
I see what you're saying, but I still think there's some sort of Kratos influence. But that's to our own interpretation. We get the magic chisel, which is indeed... It looks like an actual chisel. We pull it through this, I don't know, it looks like a giant flame ball mountain thing. We get a little piece. And that unlocks what I've been trying to figure out this entire game so far is those magic looking mirrors that have been placed throughout the game. That is where you use the magic chisel in order to break through the mirror.
Yes.
What do you think of this mechanic? Basically, you have to trace around the mirror until you find a hot spot, and then you have to pierce it with your magic chisel. I think it's kind of cool.
It is. I also like the fact that they didn't do like a puzzle for this. Like, I feel like it would have been really easy that you had to find a rune that then you chisel that like matches that mirror and you chisel it in with the magic chisel. I just like how it's just like basics. No, you just need to punch a hole into this mirror and the magic chisel is the only thing that could do it.
Kratos and Mimir actually do talk about the killing of Magni, which Kratos said, I defended us, nothing more. So he believes that he shouldn't be judged for killing Magni because he was just trying to defend himself. But Mimir says, you can't trust these guys, Thor and Odin and all these guys. They probably won't look at it like that justifiably. So we might be in some trouble later down the road. Mimir also says we need to find directions to Jotunheim. First, of course, there's another caveat to everything. And apparently Tyr knows. The only problem is Tyr is dead. But Mimir says we can still go to his temple and find out what we need, which is where we are headed, straight to the bridge, which there was a mirror there that I had seen a long time ago that I tried to get in, and I wondered what it was. That's exactly what it is. It is Tyr's temple, and that's where we go through, go to the vault, and there's another thing there for Atreus to... Oh, actually, the magic chisel, I have to reverse myself for a second. You have to hit it 3 times with the mirror, as opposed to 2. I had such difficulty doing this. I kept tracking it, and then I got 2 and I couldn't get the 3rd one. Did you have a problem with this? I just want to know for my own sake. You didn't?
I think it was, no, I was fine with this one.
Okay, well then I'm just a dum-dum. Atreus Atreus has something else to decipher, but this time, and I'm going to give him a good kid point here, he wants to teach Kratos how to read this text. And it's a really nice moment between the two where Kratos is like, well, I understand the language. I can't read it. I don't want to read it. And then Atreus is like, no, you need to read it. I want to teach you. You have taught me so many things. I want to teach you something. And I thought it was such a sweet moment. And he does try to teach him for a second. I thought it was really cute.
It is very cute. Double good boy points here. Good kid points for Atreus. It's really sweet. But it's funny how far, because it doesn't seem like that long in this journey, but it has been. Like, I have to keep reminding myself, like, we're about 7.5 hours in, and like Atreus went from despising his father and not really understanding his father to admiring him and wanting to make him proud.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if that really took shape when they fought Magni and Modi. But you can see that throughout the last few hours of the game, at least, he's been really changing his opinion on his father after getting annoyed with him quite a bit in the beginning. Anyway, the nice touching moment, we can't enjoy it too long because Kratos smells something.
Do you smell something?
Yeah, I do. Smells like rain?
You ruined everything. I earned that fucking hammer. But now, everyone's gonna think I only got it because Magni's gone. It'll be a joke. But if I kill you, no one's gonna laugh at me. Oh, are you dumb? That your father's doing? Or did you get it from your mum? She's stupid and ugly.
Shut up! You don't know anything about my mother.
Oh, it's true. But I'm gonna get to know you really well. You're gonna be my new brother. Right after I finish killing your father! Whoops. I think I broke him. No. Stay back. This isn't over!
Brother, the boy.
Atreus.
You have to get into Freya quickly. There's no other way.
Whoa.
Right?
I need a second here.
Whoa.
That gave me chills just like listening to the audio.
Yeah. It's like such a huge moment. Anyways.
This was like a point where I really got invested in the game. We haven't found out too much. There's been some secrets. The Light of Alfheim was kind of one where I was like, okay, what's happening exactly? But this was a point where I was just like, I need to keep playing because this is incredible. And I've become so much now more invested in Kratos and Atreus' relationship because of this scene. And it made me want to play the rest of the game. Like, you know, when you get a nice, good book and you're real deep in it, you want to finish the book right away. Like, this is how I felt right after this scene.
Yeah, no, this was a scene because it reveals a few things that, like, I guess it, like, makes you more intrigued. And then, yeah, I guess we'll talk about it more in segment 3. But yeah, there was a lot. And also, I'm kind of pissed off that Modi got away again.
Yeah, and he almost does it the exact same way where he's like crying. He's like, "You won't see the last of me." But I didn't expect this. Like, this is literally right after the magic chisel.
This is so soon. Yeah.
I didn't expect Modi to show up right away.
Was Modi just watching us get the magic chisel and just waiting for a moment to ambush? Because that's kind of what it looks like. And he mentions this thing about like earning the hammer, right? There's something amongst the sons of Thor with earning the hammer and like really having to show that. And although he wants the hammer, it doesn't seem like he's actually too interested in earning it, although he says he is, and he's trying to convince himself that he is, because then he just runs away when literally you saw your enemy distracted with their son that's ill, Atreus.
Yeah.
I would have thought that's a good opportunity to continue the fight and like actually earn the hammer. But he just wants it because he doesn't want people to doubt that he earned it, not because he actually wants to earn it.
Right. The best way to do that, obviously, kill Kratos, which is all coming full circle, I guess. This is kind of the first time in AutoSave history that I can remember where we really left off an episode on a cliffhanger, where we don't know what's going to happen to Atreus. I'm really excited. We have to hopefully bring Atreus to Freya, or he might be dead. We're not really sure. We'll find out on next episode. But before we end this one, after the break, we'll break down that cutscene some more and talk about all the other mechanics on AutoSave. Welcome back to AutoSave. Cam, Atreus looked like at some. I laughed through this cutscene a little bit because
What?
So it looked like he was he doing Spartan Rage there?
I think so. That's why I was like, oh, so he definitely inherited some powers from Kratos.
Yes.
And I don't think that's funny, Nick. Why do you find that funny?
I find it funny because he was just like, there was this moment where I'm like, oh shit, we've been waiting this whole time to see what Atreus is capable of, especially after we saw him kill, well, we didn't see him, but all the dark elves that he somehow killed. I want to see exactly what happened. So I was at the edge of my seat, ready for him to destroy Modi, and he does this sort of weak little with this flame and then just dies basically. And I was so caught off guard because I was expecting so much that I kind of just laughed because it was so pitiful.
Well, I have a heart, Nick. I didn't find it funny. Okay? This kid passed out. But no, yeah, this is definitely the Spartan Rage, I think. And it gives us a glimpse of like what might have happened with those elves because we didn't see it. And Atreus didn't really tell us what happened. So maybe it triggered at that moment where he thought his father kind of abandoned him because he was gone for so long. And then again, now here, how Modi is like pretty much shish kebabbing Kratos with his lightning powder. He goes into that rage again, but maybe there's something about that power that Atreus, not being a true full Spartan and not a god, can't handle it. And I think that might have triggered him to pass out. Like maybe is that the source of his sickness?
Maybe.
And they don't even know. Like maybe they don't know what is causing that sickness, or maybe they do. Like maybe Kratos does know.
Yes, I think he does. I would think he does. I mean, Mimir says like right as we're leaving, right before this mission ends, like Mimir's like the reason why Atreus is sick or why he's going through this is because he doesn't know he is a god. And that his body is acting like he is a human and it's conflicting in his brain. And that's the problem. So, I don't know. I'm just really excited to see like what happens to Atreus. Hopefully he doesn't burn himself with Spartan Rage. But it's a cool little thing because we're not entirely sure who Atreus or what Atreus is because he is half Spartan. It looks like he has some sort of godly power from Kratos. But now the whole question is, who is Faye? Was Faye a god? Is Faye something more powerful? That's the question I have now moving forward. Because it's like, well, now does he have the power of two gods from two different realms? And what does that mean?
Yeah.
Or is Faye just a regular human? I don't know. But judging by she had an axe, she seemed like some sort of fierce warrior as well. I'm only expecting the best out of this situation.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see like, because, yeah, he's good with deciphering and, like, talking. So, like, if Faye is, like, something else, does she have that, Like, is she like, it's the knowledge thing? Like, you know how some gods are like just
I think
very
so.
knowledgeable or like
That's a good point.
very fluent with like languages? Because remember the snake thing, he talks to snakes. He understands the language.
Which makes me think is like, is Faye like a wilderness god? You know, she talks to animals. She knows her way with the land. Maybe the spreading of the ashes is really important because of that. That's all. That's my theory, at least.
Huh.
Yeah. Cam doesn't want to give much away. That's it for the story side. Do you have anything you want to talk about, whether mechanic wise? I know like there's some certain treasure chests that in order to find relic symbols, some of them are kind of hidden away in a mountain range that's hard to find. Like some of these aren't easy.
No.
Was there anything that you saw? Did you end up going back to any of the chisel mirrors to unlock, or
Nope.
did you go straight to the next mission?
Straight to the next mission. I'm telling you, it's a problem I have. I'm trying to be better.
This one is totally like acceptable because I did the same thing, because this is the point where I was so invested in the story that I needed to know what was going to happen. I didn't care about anything else. I went straight to the next part, which, by the way, you'll find out is, one of my favorite parts of the entire game. There's a bunch of other things that I've found, like Odin's ravens that you can destroy.
The werewolves were weird. I thought they didn't really fit in with Norse mythology.
No, and they're really tough. They're the ones that I hate the most because they're so fast. I have opened a bunch of gates. You know those like weird glowing black orby thingies that you can like stick your hand in?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
But sometimes you fight enemies.
Yes.
Sometimes I put my hand in and I face enemies that are like 3,000 times stronger than me and I die. And I don't realize, because this is what happens when you're like trying to go through the side quests. You don't entirely know what's, your skill level or not. And there were a bunch of ones that I would end up at and I'm like, oh God, I have no chance whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I'm not trusting because like of looking for things, and because there's lots of enemies that pop out of the woodworks when you think you might have like found a chest or you have to go that way. So I take the safe route.
There's also important things like the realm tiers that you can get for Atreus to upgrade his weapons. Also look for stuff for Kratos. It's always important to get your gear to the next level because these enemies are only going to get stronger. Cam, is there anything else you want to mention before we go?
I hope Kratos is going to be okay. Even though Atreus is passed out, I just hope Kratos is going to be okay.
Well, let's see if we can get to Freya in time, or if Kratos will get a little fiery in the next episode. Well, we'll just find out next time on AutoSave.